You were here before intermission. We introduced you to Tom Swetzer. He is the co-founder and the executive director of A Place to Be, a magnificent, magical place. So please welcome Tom to share with us a story.
Hi, everybody. That was an amazing story. During the break, a couple people asked me about A Place to Be. Kim, could you please stand up? So if you don't see myself and you would like to learn about A Place to Be, find either one of us after. So I'm going to tell you my story. I just ate 3 pieces of pizza, which makes a lot of sense with this story, about husky pants. If you are a gentleman in this room between the ages of 33 and 55 and you heard of husky pants, raise your hands. Yeah, there's the shame. There's the shame right there. So, my name is Tom Swetizer. My grandfather on my dad's side was adopted, hence the name Sweitzer. My mother's name was Del Grosso. I am Italian, if you haven't guessed that. And Del Grosso, translated in English, means of the big. So as a child, I grew up in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah, really? How many of you have been there? Yeah, how many of you have driven through it quick? Yeah, that's right. It's a great town. There wasn't a lot happening for me as a child. I grew up with my mom. I'm an only child, hence me being on stage talking to you. I grew up with my mother, who unfortunately was very obese. When I was a child, she was about 400 pounds. My father was schizophrenic, and my house was pretty much a nightmare to live in. But I look back in my own childhood as a beautiful testament and a reason of why I do what I do today. So, growing up, I was in an Italian family, and every Sunday, Wednesday, and Monday, we ate meatballs. By the time I was 8, I looked like a meatball. And my mother wanted me to be in dance, so I took tap, ballet, and jazz. And my father wanted me to be in baseball, which I was never asked to do anything. But my mom had a real secret. She knew I was forced to be in baseball. I was in t-ball. All the same men that just raised their hand about husky pants. You understand t-ball? My mother knew that I was made fun of when I went to these practices, what I used to call rehearsals. And my mother used to give me a bowl of meatballs for the dugout, so I could make a friend or two. I didn't, but I still brought the meatballs and they liked it. So the story today I'm about to tell you is as a chunky 8-year-old boy in 1979, I'm going to take you back to Christmas, Altoona, Pennsylvania Christmas, tinsel on the tree. Yeah, And this was a Christmas that I will never forget. So, since I can remember, there was something called the Sears Wish Book, which came around. Ooh, there are definitely people over the age of 25 in here. Yeah. So, for the younger people, the Sears Wish Book only gave you about 45 options to pick from for Christmas. And for chunky boys, we had 2 pair of pants that you could choose from, and they were called husky. Either you had black denim pants, or you had brown corduroy pants. And when you went to Sears Roebuck, you would walk down the aisle, and you would see a mannequin, but those were special mannequins, because they were very hefty boy mannequins. And the problem with husky pants, not only did they not fit correctly, but the crotch would just kind of hang low, and as you walked, you would make noise. So these are pants that I never wanted in my life. So the Christmas of 1979, My father, unfortunately, was not at Christmas. He decided to stay in his room. And as I look back in time, I know that my mom tried her best. I was not your most average child. Up to the age of 9, I went to a place called Easter Seals because my last name is Sweitzer, and I could not say my S's, my W's, my T's, or my R's. So my last name was Tom. My mom tried her best. So she bought me gifts, and this morning in particular, I prayed the night before that my mother would have not gotten me husky pants. And you all know when you opened up your presents, you knew the shape and the size of the present at that time. You knew if it was clothes, if it was something else. So I woke up knowing my dad was not there. And now that I look back as an adult, I can see that I probably was pretty upset. But I went into the living room. My mom was sitting there with her cigarette in her hand, Pall Malls, very 1979. All good parents, by the way, smoked in 1979. Yeah, look how we all turned out. So she's sitting there, and she says, and for all the children, it was Santa Claus that brought my gifts. She said, "Look what Santa brought you." And I saw 10, 15 gifts, but I saw 2 gifts that looked suspicious, that I was afraid had you-know-what in. And I was in a mood. Being an only child, you once in a while get in a mood. I was sleeping in my Garfield pajamas. I wanted to eat meatballs, and it was morning. So I went in there, I went up to the first gift, and I said, okay, I'll open this up first. I opened it up, very slowly, and it was a pair of corduroy husky pants. The thing I did not want. I could take that. So then I went to the second one, and I was like, this has to be like a Shazam or Aquaman shirt. This cannot be husky pants. So I opened up the second one. It was a black denim, like cardboard pair of pants. I looked at my mother, and I used a word that started with the letter that's after the letter E. And I said, "What the is this?" I'm 8 years old. Not only, my mother was a very large Italian woman. Somehow, even though she was in the living room, she found the spatula. She took the spatula, threw it, and then once again I made a great choice. I said, "What the is this?" She looked at me, and she said, well, she asked, "What did you just say to me?" And I once again said what I said. And she said, "You will never, ever treat me this disrespectful." My mother was really, really good with guilt, especially on Christmas. I took the 2 pair of pants, I bundled them up, and I threw them at her. Yeah. She already used the spatula. She looked at me, and she said, "I want you out in the car in 1 minute. Put on your coat." I was like, okay, what? "I want you in the car in 1 minute." And so she went into the kitchen, she got her coat on, she went out to our Tracer. Anybody over 30? Yeah, Tracers? Horrible cars. Went out to the car, heated it up, I put on my jacket. She said, "You sit in the passenger seat right now." So I go in there, we turn on the heat, it's snowing, it's Christmas morning. My dad still didn't come down. I'm in there wondering, why am I in the car on Christmas morning? She runs down the steps, gets into the car, gets into the driver's seat, and she looks at me and she said, "You will never, ever talk to me like that on a Christmas ever again." Where are we going? You'll see where we're going. So we started to drive down to downtown Altoona, Pennsylvania. There's nobody. It's 9:30 in the morning on Christmas. Where are we going? I'm taking you somewhere. So we head down to the mall, and to my right, I see Sears. And she drives into the parking lot, which was filled with about 1 foot of snow. There's nobody in the parking lot. So we go into the parking lot. Why are we at Sears? She looks at me and she said, "Do you know those chubby little mannequins that are in the Husky Boys section?" Uh-huh. "Those are boys who did not treat their mother well." I have the receipt in my bag. The receipt for what? The receipt for you. So then we pull into the parking lot. I'm scared shitless. At the Sears door, a large man who looks like he's been wearing husky pants for 40 years opens the door and does this. I look at my mom, I'm like, "Who's that?" She said, "That's the manager of the Husky Boy section." So he comes to the car, I roll, anybody over 30? I roll down my windows. He sticks his head in, and he said, "We're waiting for you." My mother pulls out of a receipt out of her purse, hands it to him, and says, "You can take them." I start to cry, and I can't breathe. And I then start to cling, like every good Italian only child, to his mother and say, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I love my pants. I love those husky pants." So apparently, he was a friend of my mother's that she called. He was the manager of Sears. We drove the whole way home. I was in tears the entire time. My mother did not talk to me. We got out of the car, we go back into the house, and before we enter the door, she looks at me and she said, "You didn't even open up your Garfield backpack. You need to realize that whatever gifts you get, even if they are husky pants, you must appreciate them." I walked into the door with my mom. My father, that morning, he did not participate in many of my Christmases, but this particular morning, he was the janitor at the local school. As I walked into my living room to see the unopened gifts and the 2 husky pants, my father found a broken down piano, and he did not want to participate in Christmas with us, but he left a note on it that said, "This is for you." And I can remember putting on my husky pants, sitting at that piano, and that piano being the very first time that I felt Christmas. Thank you. Thank you.